bigger than the palm of your hand. John Henry's mammy, she looked down at him and said, Johnny gonna be a steel driving man. Johnny gonna be a steel driving man. Well, the man who invented that old steam drill, he thought it was mighty fine. Henry drove it down 15 feet, while the steam drill only made it 9. The steam drill only made it 9. Well, when John Henry's captain, he set out on a rock. He said, boys, this tunnel's caving in. John looked down at his captain and said, boss, that's just my hammer sucking wind. Boss, that's just my hammer sucking wind. Well, John Henry hammered in that old mountainside till his hammer caught on fire. John Henry, before he died, said, give me a cool drink of water before I die, Lord, Lord. Cool drink of water before I die. Well, when John Henry had a little woman, her name was Polly Ann. John got sick, Lord, he had to go to bed. Polly drove that steel like a man, Lord, Lord. Polly drove that steel like a man. Well, they took John Henry to the graveyard, put him 6 feet under the sand. Every time that old train comes rolling in, they say, yonder lies that steel driving man. Yonder lies that steel driving man. Little flat, maybe. Can't play the leads. But I'd say it's pretty fucking good. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. 11,000 subscribers now, that's nice. My promotion ends today, so it probably won't get much higher. But I hope everyone's doing well, having a good weekend. Weekends are always tough for both of us. Of course, I'm referring to my relationship with Quentin Tarantino. This channel exists to discuss the nature of the actual story of the movie Critic, what actually occurred with that film as a result of him deciding to cancel it, and the mystique of it all, right? Like, I wrote him, that's my dog, sorry. I wrote him about playing the lead. I'm an actor. I love Shakespeare and classical theater. I'm acting in Twelfth Night right now. Here's my script, right? It says Twelfth Night. And so that led to him canceling the film, and then he set me up as a psychic clairvoyant. Both of us are psychic clairvoyants, to question him about his book at a screening of Jackie Brown last year. And so this is my fault. I've acknowledged it the whole time. I've never tried to make any qualms about it while I was arrogant at first. I've always known that this was my fault. I knew what he wanted. But when he refused my writing there in that moment, the story's too long. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But I saw it for what it was, because he refused to say anything practically to me. He didn't want to talk to me, right? He tried to cast a spell over the industry and me and the audience all at the same time. And I saw it for what it was. Right? Him manipulating me and controlling me. And so, when he turned his back on me, I turned my back on him and left. It was small of me. It was petty and arrogant and full of hubris and pride. And I felt really bad for a long time, and I suffered under the rack of his psychic machinations for some 6 months after that, until I revealed myself as a clairvoyant at the beginning of this year. And so now we both just exist as this case study in remote viewing, and he is essentially just a bully. That's all he is. He's using his money and his influence and his resources to hover over me like a goblin and try to force me into submission, into the corner, and have me not talk about it at all, and have me just live with the fear that he can send someone to kill me at any time, and him just lie perpetually to the entire industry about it. Or at least keep it this occulted thing, and that's why the channel exists, right? Because if I stop talking about it, right? If I just say, okay, gosh, what a ride. I was so close, then, right, if I take everything down, if I stop talking about it, right, if and when I disappear, right, then I've disappeared. And so now, right, because that fear is always going to live there until he tells the truth about the movie, right? Or he pays me, right? And so why do I say that? I say that because now he has engendered this dangerous condition in his mind. And so the only way to truly have his mind back is for me to not be alive, because then I am out of his mind and he's out of my mind, because I'm out of the world. And I'll always exist like Jiminy Cricket in his mind, right, till the day he dies. But, right, I talk about it because now, right, it's dangerous. Now he's created this condition that he can always deny, right? And so he tells people in private, right? He does nothing but evil to me, right? He's watching me all the time. Again, it's a case study, right? He's played these games for a long time, right? And so now he's spent so much time that I suspect anytime he closes his eyes, he sees me. Anytime I'm writing anything, he sees it. Anytime I'm reciting Shakespeare, he sees it, because he spent some 500 hours remote viewing me. We are a case study in clairvoyance and remote viewing, and he will never outrun me, and I will never outrun him. So knowing that is our baseline, right? He has created a mental illness within himself, just as much as he's damaged my psyche and psychology as well. And so, right, no one does this and expects it, right? That's like next level sick if he expects this to last for 20 years, 30 years, right? So therefore, his goal has always been for me to blow my brains out. And since he knows that I'll never do that, now we're actually touching on real evil, on conspiracy to murder me. That's the next step. I should never assume that he has any sort of ethical standard, because he's never proven himself to be anything other than evil since Tribeca. Right? Every revelation that's come to me has been nothing but the recognition that he's been manipulating me to compel me to blow my brains out. And so he can tell the truth about the movie, and that shows me that he does value my life, that he's prepared for us to live in the world at the same time together. Right? So that we all understand the nature of how complicated the story of the movie critic really is. Or if he wants to keep it a psychic, ugly, occulted thing where we each exist as malignancies in each other's minds without the world at large knowing, he can pay me a bunch of his money. And that's him saying, here's this money for your pain and suffering. You never signed up to play this disgusting mind game, right? And he's only recognizing, like, really recently that it's done. Like, it's like, right? He never had some sort of advantage over me. And I just suffered because I trusted him and I loved him and I felt bad about Tribeca. And so if he doesn't do either of those things, right, then he wants me to die. There's no other way to interpret it. Right? Because he's created a condition in his mind, which is me. Right? He's created a condition in my mind, which is him and Daniela. Right? Is his wife involved? I think she is. No secrets between husband and wife. And I think they're into a bunch of fucked up shit. Which is the subject of my newest writing. So I wrote one novel about it, and I sent it to a couple of people, and it was good. It was primarily therapy, I would say. But it was good. It was, 130,000 words. I was going through the process of writing it, and then another story came to me. And here it is. And it's like, yeah, I'm doing it. We got quite a lot of pages now. Let's take a gander. That many pages. So what is this, like 500 words a page? It's probably 150 pages there. 160 pages, 80 pages. So what is that? 500 times 15 would be, 7,500. It's about 10,000 words, probably. Maybe more, even. Or no, it'd be 15,000 words. Anyway, somewhere between 7,500 and 15,000 words. I'm a writer, not a mathematician. But it's very good. It's going to be the prologue. It's the new prologue. And maybe it's not. Maybe some of it comes at the end. But. So the novel that I wrote originally began in May of 2021 and went to February of this year. And it was a rhapsody of words. It was so graceful and elegant. Because it poured out of me really fast. And now I'm doing the same thing. But now, boom, I'm all the way in there at the heart of Babylon. The heart of the madness, right? I thought I was the movie critic, the character, right? But now I am the actual movie critic. That's what I am. Right? Quentin tried to play a fucked up mind game with me and he lost. Right? He tried to cast a magic spell over me and the industry and the audience and he lost. Right? He could have just said something to me. Right? He could have taken my letter. He could have put me on the spot. He could have replied to either of the letters that I wrote him from the time he canceled the film through Tribeca. Right? He could have made that fine fucking witch go talk to me that came out and checked me out while I was waiting in line. Right? There's 1,000 things he could have done to say, okay, I can cast my spell over the industry and the audience, but I don't have to cast it over him. Right? But the more that time passes, the more it becomes obvious that his arrogance, right? His arrogance has run its course, right? That he went to everyone around town, everyone that he answers to, because he doesn't live in a vacuum. He was making the movie Critic when he canceled it. And said, oh, had my headshot. I said, oh, this is my new guy, and he's going to give me this badass interview, and then I'll unveil him. Never telling them that he was only manipulating me with his mind. That he was only remote viewing me. That's how we were communicating. Yes, it's a celestial special thing, and that's why I quit my job. That's why I threw myself onto the street, because I felt bad and I did appreciate it. I did respect it. I didn't respect it then. Right? And at the same time, I could make the argument that he didn't respect what he saw me doing during those 2 months, which was writing constantly. Not some of the time, all the time. So, that's why I talk about it. Because no matter what he says to people, right? He's not well in his mind. But he exists in this haze of magnetic effluvia, which is me hovering over him. Right? And so it doesn't matter what I do, right? He doesn't want me to do anything, right? He thinks this is the point. He thinks that he owns art. He thinks that because I didn't want to play his telepathic mind game, that I don't have the right to play guitar anymore. He thinks that because he was an impotent psychic, that means that I can't keep writing just as good as him, better than him. He thinks that because, right, he can't control me the way that he controls everyone in his life, absolutely, that gives him the right to torture me into never acting again. And so, that's the definition of evil. That's, right? He could have been a badass boss motherfucker. That's right? When I blew it. Right? You play your fucked up mind games. It's his movie, right? I find no fault in that. Right? But for him to double down with cunning, with guile, deception, conspiracy, right? All the hideous adjectives I could possibly fathom. Instead of simply telling me, you blew it, that was the moment. I despise you and always will. Right? That's the definition of evil. That's the point. Rather than just tell the truth, rather than just say, right, fuck you, you blew it, right? And I suspect this is about my scene, but now I suspect he's just fucking evil. That he's gotten so used to controlling everyone in his life that he genuinely felt that it would be no problem to compel me to madness and suicide. And maybe he got close. Right? And for sure, we're damaged goods. The party is over, right? Everyone around him, right? There's me, boom, right in front of his face. Because I've written him so much and made some really serious allegations that anyone who has any sort of spiritual center would say is the definition of evil and blasphemy. Right? And so I'm not telling you to go to church. I'm not telling you to pay your tithes. But what I am saying is that the source of clairvoyance is the source of all life, which is a divine intellectual quality, which we refer to as God and see manifested as stillness. I've talked about the metaphysics of the mind so much on this channel. Right? And so, right, he played his games, solidifying a very strong, palpable psychic connection with me for some 5 months without me reacting in any way, just suffering under the rack. Writing his agent, writing David Berlinski, writing Tranastasio, writing Salman Rushdie, writing Thomas Pynchon, right? All of these people in a sincere, extroverted, effort to help us reconcile in an extroverted, palpable, physical way. And it was only after he manipulated me back out of town and plagued my mind for another 6 weeks with visions of me killing myself, right? Through dense, subtle reverse psychology. Right? So that he could get his pats on the back and say, oh gosh, it's so unfortunate, right? He's sick. He's a sick, evil man. Right? That I decided to start remote viewing. And then the dominoes just fell almost immediately. when I started wielding my compass and expressing my knowing, unfolding my knowing, I referenced to nothing. He's not like, it's the same guy. It's the same guy that he was manipulating and controlling for all those months. Right? That now he knows that, right? I'm playing the same game. I've always been playing the same game. And if the game is we're destroying each other with our minds, then there is no upper hand. We both know exactly what to do. And undoubtedly, I have taught him things. And undoubtedly, he'll never be smart enough to see everything I can conceive. Right? I don't know what price he paid. Obviously, he saw it as an initiation. That was like how he saw it. Right? He had no reason to assume that I'm not an adept of the highest level through the letters that I sent him. I put the Platonic solids, boom, hand-drawn on the top of the letter. I told him I was reading the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. I told him I was reading Plato's Republic. Right? That's like if he was actually paying attention to what, boom, was on the page. Right? He could have seen me for what I am. His intellectual equal and spiritual equal. And say something to me practically. And still cast his spell over the industry. Right? Still cast his spell. Right? Honestly, you know what he should have done? This is what he should have done. He should have said something to me and said nothing to anyone else. Right? He should have not assumed that he was arrogant. Right? He should have canceled the film and said, told the people he needed to. There's this actor. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right? And then reach out to me and say, okay, dude, you want to play in the big leagues? I expect you to give me a good interview at this screening of Jackie Brown. And if you blow it, I'll fucking hate you forever. But if you play good in the sand, I'll be cool. Right? But instead, he told everyone else, right? He told Variety, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But Variety and the Hollywood Reporter were there. But I know he told everyone at Sony, right? And I suspect he told all of the people that he has his cocaine sex parties with, right? At the heart of Babylon on Mulholland Drive. So, I have to talk about it. Because, obviously, and I don't have time to go through everything, nor do I want to, right? He's proven that he has no ethical standard at all. That he's prepared to do anything that he wants. And so this is why I talk about it. Because I have the right to do whatever I want. Right? And so, at the heart of the matter is that even if I did nothing in terms of the psychic phenomenon, and that's always my right, I'll remove you anyone, for any reason, anytime. But even if I don't, right? It's safe to assume that every time I sing a song, he's going to hear it. Every time I write, he's going to hear it. I get 500 hours. Right? So I allege that every time you have a telepathic communication with someone, it exponentially increases the connection between the two minds at work. And so, originally I thought it was like 500 squared, but really it would be 500 factorial. Which is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5, all the way up to 500, which of course is, that number would wrap around the earth 15 times probably. Right? So I have to talk about it. And I know that everyone has the right to say that I'm not well, because Quentin refuses to tell the truth about the movie. Right? But the reality that I keep thinking is that he's still taking from me. That play that he's going to do at the West End is my Elvis play, which I wrote as a script. I wrote it as a screenplay about Elvis getting miscast in West Side Story because it's fucking hilarious. And so I put one of the scenes, the first day of rehearsal from that script, with my first essay where I reminded the world, right, that Cliff Booth's character is the real reason that film works, right? And it didn't work until he appropriated Brad Pitt's spousal abuse from beating up his wife on an airplane and getting away with it. Cliff Booth kills his wife on a boat and gets away with it. Brad Pitt beats up his wife on an airplane and gets away with it. Right? The analog is obvious. It's the same story. This is what writers do. He brought it out of the sky, put it in the water, and now he has an actor who can offer a justifiable alternative to Manson. You understand what I'm saying right now? Right, that of course Rick Dalton's a candy ass. That he doesn't, right, he's a pansy actor. Right, but now he knows an actor who's right? Who's a cool, badass, violent dude who like smacks up women in his drunken rage. Right? Beyond writing it, I don't care about writing it. This is what writers do, right? That's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm putting Quentin on the page in a way that he'll always be remembered for. Right? It's the campaigning. Right? And of course he's the one that won the Oscar. Right? That he said, no, we'll do it as supporting, you'll be supporting actor, right? No one will, right? This is you, this is your act of contrition, this is you, right? And I suspect you paid off Angelina Jolie, right? I suspect she's under NDA. Just somebody ask her. Just anybody who knows her, just ask her. It's funny. It's obvious, it's obvious. Everyone in town was in on the joke, right? And so now, right, I'm talking about it, right? Because he gave me a chance, and I didn't want to play the game by his rules, and I felt bad about that. But now everything that he's done has been to compel me to suicide and madness. That's what's been occurring. There's nothing else that's been occurring. And so the fact that he just expects it to exist in this diseased way, it behooves me to discuss it. Because at any time, any day, seeing me live the life that I want to live, seeing me writing, seeing me play guitar, seeing me acting, seeing me being myself, which is the master of my mind, right? In his arrogance, in his hubris, right? In his pathological evil. At any moment, he could hit his breaking point, make the call, and have me wiped from the face of the earth. And so it's very frightening. And I know that there's nothing I can do about it. But I love you all. I want to hear what you have to say about it. I hope you enjoyed the song. I'm working on it. It's got some ways to go, but I'm singing it well, I think. So, like, comment, subscribe, share. All the best.